NIO is going trending and viral in China for all the wrong reasons. Every single quarter, this happens. And that is, of course, NIO's massive losses being translated to how many dollars of losses per vehicle. And that just makes a buzz everywhere here in China. And right now, the buzz is NIO loses 250,000 RMB per car sold. And you see videos like this popping out in social media here in China. And some of the comments, for example, this comment saying, let's all stop buying NIOs so that they can lose less money. Of course, I had to hit back and comment saying that the big losses are a result of massive R&D spending. The cars are fantastic. My NIO, been driving it for 2.5 years, no quality problems. This is all a result of good R&D. There's even people in the comments comparing NIO to Weltmeister, which Weltmeister, by the way, is pretty much almost dead, all right? A lot of their sales stores closed, factory closed. A lot of the cars don't even have maintenance. It's very dumb to compare NIO to Weltmeister. All of this creates a lot of confusion for a lot of people that don't understand NIO here in China. It makes them fearful of buying a NIO, which they shouldn't be. And remember that that a-hole, that content creator in China, 老谭说车，
未来是换电，对这个呢想法是非常好的。对，
查一查去，到满网查一查，一年赔了144个亿，1个小时赔将近200万，这种品牌能活得了？
那我想问一下，京东现在也在赔钱。
He has millions and millions of subscribers here in China. He went to one of the NIO stores to tell customers about those losses, how much NIO was losing, to essentially stop those customers from buying a NIO, all for some clout. I mean, no wonder NIO sued that guy. So this really draws our focus to NIO's R&D, which is really the biggest expense out there. And let's compare it to some of the other guys, Li Auto, XPeng, and also Tesla. And if we look at the chart, which I've compiled, Q1 and Q2 R&D, you can see that NIO 448 million, Q2 461 million US dollars, much higher than XPeng and Li Auto, but much less than Tesla. Straight off the bat, you know that NIO takes R&D very seriously. What's even more shocking is if you look at the R&D as a percentage of revenue. Now, NIO spends about 32.8% of their revenue in R&D. So that's the ratio. Whereas Tesla only has a 3.5% R&D to revenue ratio. XPeng 29%, Li Auto 9%. Is NIO spending too much money on R&D? Yes, I think they are, but I think this is temporary. Reasoning is because this year they had so many products to launch, to work on. Also, on top of that, the NIO phones, the sub-brands, the 2 sub-brands. Think about how much money is it going to cost you to start a car company. For you, right now, you're going to put down everything and start a car company. How much is it going to cost you? Multiply that by 2 because they're doing 2 sub-brands. So it makes absolute sense that they're spending a lot of money on R&D. But NIO's R&D has always been really high. And even back before I bought my NIO, back in 2019, when I visited a NIO store, I was talking to some of the sales reps. I was asking them, why do you guys spend so much on R&D? And this is a very important message, a very important takeaway. And the sales rep, and this is basically also what the CEO said, and there's clips of this as well. A lot of other guys, namely Tesla, BYD, they had a very long head start in terms of time. They started out very early. NIO started out later in time. So NIO has to make up that difference through R&D and put more aggressive spending and research into R&D to make up for that lost time, to essentially get ahead. And NIO CEO has famously said, if you want to build a good car, you cannot skimp out on R&D. Now, is NIO spending too much R&D money on other stuff such as phones and headphones, etc.? I think it's way too early to tell. And even when the first iPhone just launched, a lot of people said it was going to be a big failure. And in my personal opinion, I think the phone will bring new levels of integration with the car and upgrade the processor, be able to make the car a lot faster in terms of processing power, etc. So In my opinion, it is absolutely justified. NIO is working on a whole big ecosystem that is very hard for us normal people to comprehend, and it's too early to judge. Look, the fact of the matter is, NIO will always be a pioneer in this space. When NIO first launched and announced the ET7 with the LiDAR on top, it was a very revolutionary design. Of course, NIO was the first one to have that kind of design, the LiDAR right on top. And everybody followed suit. Li Auto follows suit. The other guys follow suit. IM Motors follows suit. They do the same sort of design, having the LiDAR on top. NIO was the first one to bring battery swap to mass market, and then came the copycats like Rising Auto. And they pretty much learned from NIO what NIO's battery swap was all about, the pros and cons, and then work from there instead of coming out with those features first. Same thing with Li Auto. A lot of the features that NIO has, as soon as NIO launches a feature, very soon, after a week or maybe 2 weeks, a month, Li Auto is going to come out with similar feature, pet mode, or whether it's like the fridge always remains on in the car if you leave the car, etc., etc. But you see the pattern. It's always after NIO. It's very easy to copy someone, but it's very hard to be first. And you really got to applaud NIO for being the pioneers in this space. And I believe a lot of people like you and I, and also a lot of NIO owners and also people that know NIO, understand that NIO is actually the pioneers of this, of a lot of this tech, a lot of this design, and then some of the other guys are just copycats. When you just draw focus to how much money NIO is losing, and without understanding the full bigger picture, that's when you have a lot of this misunderstanding and people fearful about buying a NIO, thinking that NIO will go under and there's no one to service their cars in a while. Listen, NIO's R&D is the most valuable thing. NIO has so many patents out there. If there's ever a situation where the market cap gets really low, there's going to be plenty of people willing to swoop up NIO for the infrastructure, the swap stations, the charging stations, the patents, all these stuff. Everybody's going to be scrambling to buy this for cheap if it comes to that. So NIO will pretty much never go bankrupt. But it's just these people that don't know about NIO's innovation that pisses me off and just also scares a lot of consumers. But of course, there's content creators like me and then other people explaining this, and you guys as well. You guys understand that NIO's future is very bright, and you guys understand that this R&D expense is all for the better. Once again, I gotta remind you guys, it's easy to copy others, but it's very hard and difficult to innovate and pioneer and lead in this space. The heavy R&D will eventually pay off, and I believe down the line, people will learn to respect NIO's R&D for the great things that come out of it. As always, stay safe, stay healthy. Peace out.